lashes is acting real stank and I don't like that. Welcome back to yet another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I balance my life as a mom, as a student going to school, and working all at the same time. So I basically wanted to make this video because I know there are a lot of moms trying to go back to school and work and balance, mom life, and you're trying to juggle all of that stuff. It's not unheard of or an impossible things for moms to successfully achieve all of those things while still being able to be a mom and have a successful work life and school life all at the same time. It just takes mindset, planning, and discipline. So if you are interested in these tips, keep watching. So if you are a working mom trying to balance out all of those things that I talked about earlier in the video, this video will provide you with tips on how to structure all of those things. Now keep in mind, this is from my personal point of view and what worked for me. Now what worked for me may not work for you. So feel free to take some of these tips and personalize them to where it fits for you and your family. So just a little bit of background for those of you who are new. I am a mom of a 7-year-old autistic little boy. I work remote as a medical assistant full-time, and I'm also a full-time nursing student. So even though I do have the luxury of working from home, my job is not an easy job. It's very demanding, but I do find time to put time aside for not only my son, but also my studies as well. And I do this by simply managing my time and just kind of dedicating specific times to like certain time slots, and I stick with that. And of course this excludes like any time that I'm simply dedicated to taking care of my child, because there's no specific time for that. You can't just set time aside to be a mother. Like, being a mom is around the clock, 24-hour, 365 days out the year job, no time off. When you're a mom, you're always a mother, on the clock, all the time, every time. But the one key that kind of keeps me, kind of structured with everything is I do make sure that my child has a consistent routine. So before I started my job, before I decided to go back to school, I wanted to make sure that my son had a consistent routine every single day. Having a routine set for your child or children is absolutely necessary, especially if you're deciding to go back to school and you're a full-time student and you have a full-time job. It helps keeps you organized and minimize like a lot of the stress, and not only just for you but for your child as well. So whether you have a baby, a toddler, or a teenager, having a structured routine for a child when you are trying to do it all is an absolute must. So for me, this wasn't really an issue since my child already kind of had some type of routine structure before I even started to go back to school, or before I even started working, period. Before I decided to get into medical assisting, or before I started to work, before then I was pretty much at home all the time with my son. From then, we started to build on a structured routine for him every day, and basically I just kept up with it. If you have not yet established a set routine for your child, it may help you to create like a schedule for them, so it can help both you and your child stay on track. So I'll kind of show you an example of how I basically set my child's routine from jump. I wanted him to get kind of used to having a structured routine, so I basically made like a chart. I'll kind of show you here in a little bit, but I basically made a chart for me to stick with to get my son regulated to this routine every day. And this will kind of give you an idea of how that works. So like you can see here, like before 9 a.m. like we wake up like 9 to 10:30. So this is when I would go to work, and this is when my son will kind of work on his classwork, and I kind of would have him sit at the desk next to me. And then we would have like a 10-minute break, and 12 o'clock would be playtime, and then we would get 30 minutes for lunch. Around 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. this is when I continue with work, and then he would continue with his classwork. 2:30 to 4, this is around the time where he would basically have his playtime and be on his tablet. And around 2:30 We would go outside like around 4:15 to 5:30. This will be the time where I would kind of get dinner started for him. And usually around 7:30 to 8:30, that's our free space. So usually we spend this time together. We have fun, like we play games. 8:30 to 9:30 is usually the time that I get him ready for bed. And then 10:30 to 11, this time slot is dedicated for my schooling, and he is usually in bed by this time. Around 11:30 to 1 o'clock is completely like he's asleep around this time, which means that I have time for myself. It doesn't always work that way, but I try to keep it as structured as possible. And if you have a little one, sometimes it's not always gonna be the same thing all the time, or it's not always gonna be a successful thing. Like, you have to basically keep at it, or even if you fall off track one day, you have to keep consistent, because children thrive off of consistency, structure, and having a routine, a daily routine. So that is important. Now, of course, the schedule that you just seen is made personally for my lifestyle, or me and my child's lifestyle, I should say. But this is just an example of how I initially set up our routine for the day. Now, this is the most updated schedule that I kind of created on my phone, but I know once I actually start my nursing courses, like my actual nursing courses, which I haven't started just yet, once I actually start my nursing courses and do my clinicals and all of that, I know that'll kind of like change up a little bit. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I am currently in a private school. So I basically chose that route because that just fit better for me schedule wise. And I'm also able to do my non-clinical courses online. So I have that flexibility to kind of do that and basically be a mother to my kid, and work and all of that good stuff. Now, that personally works for me. Like, that worked best for me. But you have to find ways to kind of make it fit for your own lifestyle and for you and your family, so that you can be successful in, you know, juggling all of these things and being able to go to school. And like I said before, having a schedule does not always guarantee that everything will be structured the same every single day, every single time. Children, especially smaller children and especially autistic children, they are always unpredictable. Even with my son starting off, when we started kind of trying to get our routine, like trying to get into the swing of our own routine, it was not a perfect thing. We had our good days where we stayed on schedule and we stayed on track, and then we had our bad days where we would, you know, he would fall off, or, you know, it just didn't go right that day. But the key is to keep, you know, consistent with your routine. So even if you fall off sometimes, it's always important to re-implement this to your child so that it doesn't become overwhelming with everything that you have going on, and also trying to be a parent. Now, if you are in school, I recommend the next thing that you should have is a planner. It is very possible for you to keep track of all your school assignments and homework and successfully do this as well. So of course, having a planner allows you to keep track of certain assignments and quizzes and any tests that you may have, so that you can stay on track with all of your assignments. Now, some people may actually want to use a traditional planner, or if you want to use a digital planner, that is perfectly fine as well. A digital planner is great because you can set timers, alarms that will alert you when something is due. You can also use a planner for other things, like to schedule appointments or to-do lists or shopping lists. So for me, I feel like I've always lived by a planner. Like, even without school, like I'm a planner girl. Like, I love planners. I actually have a slick obsession with planners. So I love planners. Like, I live my life by a planner. But so for school, it's really not that much different. There are multiple apps that you can use specifically for planners. If you prefer a digital planner, you can find different apps and keep it on your phone, set reminders so that you never miss an assignment, so that it'll keep you on track. I personally am a traditional planner girl. I just find that it works better for me because I feel like when I write things out, it's easy for me to remember it. I feel like it helps me retain the information better that way. I do keep like a picture of my assignments on my phone so I can just have that with me in case of the event I forget my planner or something happens. Like, you never know. Next is having a work schedule that fits well with your school life. So if you're already working and you're thinking about going back to school, it's probably best to let your manager know ahead of time if you feel like your classes may impact your work schedule. Your employer should be informed of this information in the event that they may need to figure out how they will fit you into the work schedule. Now, of course, you're never obligated to let your job know if you're going back to school if you feel like it's not going to impact your work schedule. But if you feel like it will, it's very important that you let your employer know this ahead of time. Letting them know this information will allow them to compromise with you so you can be able to work while you're in school. Me personally, I would let them know a month in advance just so that they can make any further adjustments if necessary. If your supervisor doesn't seem happy, like if they don't seem happy that you're actually going back to school, which, you know, sometimes we have those type of people that we work for, I would say let them know that you're willing to negotiate your schedule and you're willing to compromise with them so that it not only works better for you but also your job as well. It may also help if you find a program that offers night courses as well if you work during the day, and vice versa. Also, if you are able to find classes that you can take online, that may be helpful as well. The fact that I'm taking my non-clinical courses online, it works better for me and my schedule, and when that time comes when I'm actually supposed to go to clinicals, then I'll kind of figure out and adjust my schedule from there. But for now, it just works best for me with me working from home and my child being home as well. It just fits well into my schedule right now. And I find that online courses are much more flexible, and sometimes I find like if we have a not so busy day, sometimes I would use that time to catch up on some of my schoolwork from time to time when I'm not busy at work. But if you do have a job where you're able to work at night, or if your time is a little bit more flexible, then you working from Monday to Friday at a 9-to-5 job, I would just basically work with my employer and try to get your school schedule opposite from that so that it works better for you. And finally, and definitely most importantly, it is important for you to set time aside for yourself. Set aside time to relax and recover. So as a full-time mom, oh shit, okay, wait a minute, messed that up. So as a full-time mom with a full-time job and a student full-time, I'm always constantly busy. The most important advice I can give you is to set time aside for yourself. It is important for you to make time for personal time within your schedule. And I know sometimes that's hard because we've got a lot of things going on. It's just like, you know, how do you set a personal time when you don't have time for that? So initially, when I first started working from home and going to school and, you know, being a mom even, I had to basically find my rhythm. And once I made sure that once I had my consistent routine for me and my son, I made sure to set aside time for me. If you're finding this difficult to do with children, maybe ask your partner, you know, or maybe ask someone for help, maybe a family member or just someone who can, you know, just take them and watch them while you just have time for yourself to relax. And if that's kind of hard for you to do, because I understand that there are some single mothers out there, maybe have something entertaining for your child to do while you just take time to just breathe to yourself, or maybe even include them in your relaxation time. Because for me, sometimes it's difficult to be alone by myself because I always have my son with me 100% of the time. I find it easier for me to just relax with him. I may include him in things that I find relaxing, like I may find something that's entertaining for him and relaxing for me at the same time, if that makes sense. For instance, he likes to color, So I might set aside like a little coloring book, and you know, we'll have color time. And while he's doing that, like, you know, I may be sitting in my bed watching TV. I find that actually kind of peaceful. So you just have to find what works best for you. Having time to just relax is important and a definite must, especially if you're doing all of these things and you know you want to be successful at it and you want to be the best that you can be, because it can get overwhelming, it can get stressful, it can be exhausting. So it's just important that you set some time aside for yourself. I know being a super mom is hard, guys. Like, I know it is stressful. Believe me, you are looking at an exhausted, stressed out woman. Although I'm trying to hold it together as much as possible. Pray for me. But I'm doing it. And if I can do it, you can do it. I know sometimes you may feel like you want to give up. You may feel like you're not doing a good job, but I'm here to tell you that you are killing it. So keep doing what you're doing and it'll all pay off. I'm telling you. A lot of us moms are out here busting our ass for not only our benefit, but to provide better lives for our children. And so, you know, you got to keep going. We got this. Like, we can do this. So I hope you guys found this video to be helpful or somewhat helpful, or, you know, if you just found it entertaining, that's a plus too. As always, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. If you guys have any other helpful hints, definitely leave them in the comment section below. You know, I'm always here. I'm always here for the love and helping each other out. Like, I am definitely for that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.